Okay. Yes, to go that way, no, go by Mom, go. Yes.
My Pran Prabhu, Mohini, Mataji, Shital Mataji, thank you so much for joining.
That's right.
I'm very, very grateful to all of you for taking your most valuable time to study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam together. It's been a while. We studied Bhagavatam. We were reading Caitanya-caritāmṛta, and then there was a lot of travels, but somehow Kṛṣṇa is very kind and merciful, so that we are all here again to study Bhagavatam. The importance of reading Srila Prabhupada's books, especially Gita, Bhagavatam, and Caitanya-caritāmṛta, can never be overemphasized, because the more we do, it's never more. There's always room for more. But nonetheless, if we take out some time every day from our lives to read Srila Prabhupada's books, especially Bhagavatam, and that's the whole purpose of this group, to Nityaṁ bhāgavata-sevayā. So we will resume our study from the point where we last paused in the Bhagavatam study, which is at Canto 10, Chapter 28. So we have covered Canto 10, Chapter 28, which is the Govardhan Lila. We discussed that in a few chapters, and then how King Nanda was rescued by Kṛṣṇa from the Varun Dev. That's chapter 28. That also we have read in the past. So we'll resume from chapter 29, which is a little bit esoteric and very, very sacred. These few chapters from chapter 29 onwards talk about the Rasa Lila pastime. They're also called the Rasa Panchadhyaya. Chapter 29, 30, 31, 32, and 33, the 5 chapters, Rasa Panchadhyaya. So it's certainly beyond my maryada and beyond my understanding and position to even speak anything about this. But here we are just reading what Srila Prabhupada has given us and his disciples have given us and Shukdev Goswami has given us. So it's not what I am qualified, it's what we are sincerely trying to receive. But to become a sincere medium to receive and to read and to hear, it's very, very important to always remember Guru and Kṛṣṇa, because it's not my qualification, it's our desire to purify ourselves and develop Krishna prema. And if we read and hear with that intention and that motive, then yes, in spite of all our shortcomings, Krishna, being so kind and merciful, will certainly help us. So I just wanted to set some background, since we are reading after a long time this Bhagavatam, and we're also reading a little bit esoteric section in that. Srila Prabhupada recommends, advises, and requests all of us that we should not jump to this section, which we are not. We have been reading Bhagavatam for many years, and we have read gradually, step by step. So with that mood, we will first chant the Mangalacharana prayers and seek the blessings of the Guru Parampara before we dive deep into the Bhagavatam nectar. Okay, so let's recite the Mangalacharan together. Om Ajnantimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Śrī Caitanya-Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta-Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratushe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaladhara Shashivarnam Gopavesho Kishoro Sahachar Ganavrinday Kridamanau Rajeshu Natavarajitavesho Nilapitambaradyo Jagat Janana Hetu Rama Krishna Natosmi. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, dear worshipful devotees, for taking out your most valuable time to study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam together. We are reading Canto 10, Chapter 29, entitled Kṛṣṇa and the Gopis Meet for the Rasa Dance. I'm going to share my screen, and if anyone, like always, wants to read, you can raise your hand, so I know that who all are in a position to read. Yes, Shital Mataji, and then Mohini Mataji can read after.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all the devotees. Chapter 29, Krishna and the Gopis meet for the Rasa dance. This chapter describes how Lord Sri Krishna, intending to enjoy the Rasa dance, engaged in arguments and counter-arguments with the Gopis. Then there is a description of the beginning of the Rasa dance and the Lord's pastime of disappearing from the midst of the Gopis. Remembering the promise he had made to the Gopis when he had stolen their clothes, Lord Krishna employed his Yog Maya potency and manifested within himself the desire to enjoy pastimes during an autumn night. Thus he began to play his flute. When the Gopis heard the flute's sound, the impulses of Cupid were violently aroused within them, and they immediately abandoned all their household duties and hastily went to Krishna. All the Gopis had purely spiritual bodies, but when some of the Gopis' husbands and other family members stopped the young girls from going, Lord Krishna arranged for them to temporarily exhibit material bodies which they then left at the side of their husbands. In this way they deceived their relatives and went off to meet Krishna. When the gopis came before Lord Krishna, he asked, "Why have you come? It is not good for you to travel to such a place in the dead of the night, for this forest is full of violent creatures. Your husbands and children will soon come searching after you to bring you home and engage you again in your household duties. After all, the prime religious duty of a woman is to serve her husband and children. For a respectable woman to consort with a paramour is totally contemptible and sure to obstruct her progress to heaven. Moreover, one develops pure love for me not by physical proximity, but by hearing topics connected with me, by viewing my deity form in the temple, by meditating upon me, and by faithfully chanting my glories. Therefore, all of you would do best to return home." Should I continue, Prabhuji, or somebody else would like to read?
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Yes, Mohini Mataji, you want to complete the other paragraphs?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'm actually Karina, but is it okay if I can still read?
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. The gopis were crestfallen to hear this, and after crying a little, they replied, with a bit of anger, "It is very unfair for you to reject young girls who have abandoned everything in their lives and come to you with the exclusive desire to serve you. By serving our husbands and children, we receive only pain, whereas by serving you, the dearmost soul of all living beings, we will perfectly fulfill the true religious duty of the self. What woman will not deviate from her prescribed duties as soon as she hears your flute song and sees your form, which enchants the three worlds? Just as the Supreme Lord Vishnu protects the demigods, you destroy the unhappiness of the people of Vrindavana. Therefore, you should immediately relieve the torment we have felt because of separation from you." Wanting to please the gopis, Lord Krishna, who was always satisfied in himself, responded to their appeals by playing with them in various pastimes. But when this show of attention made them a little proud, he humbled them by suddenly disappearing from the arena of the Rasa dance. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Rina Mataji and Shital Mataji, for reading this summary of this chapter, chapter 29, which has how many verses? It has 48 verses. So what's the title? Krishna and the gopis meet for the rasa dance. Now, the purport itself is, sorry, the summary of the chapter itself is so beautiful. A few points to note here that which we will dive deeper later also, but the gopis' body was completely spiritual. That's one important point. They are not like struggling sadhakas like us with the material body. Their body is completely spiritual, purely spiritual. They don't have tinge of lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, illusion. They only and only want to serve Krishna. And that's what we say we are trying to follow the footsteps of the gopis, Gopir, Bharatur, Padikamalayur, Das, 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 Anudas. So if anyone considers this episode of Krishna's Lila as some mundane act of two boyfriend, girlfriend meeting, then they are in great illusion, actually. Because why will our great acharyas like Shukdev Goswami, who was a great renunciate, all the great acharyas always and always glorifying the supreme bhava of the gopis? Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayastadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachitupasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Va Kalpita. Vrajavadhu, referring to the gopis. that their love is the highest, the topmost, and the most sacred of all. To the extent they are willing to do anything and everything and even break the so-called social customs. Because ultimately that's what Krishna says, Saradharman Parityajya. The highest and the most important principle is to love Krishna. And all the other dharmas, the other customs, the other rules and regulations are for what? Are for only one purpose, so that we can love Krishna purely. And that's what gopis are showing. Now, a very, very important line which I liked here, that Krishna is telling, one develops pure love for me not by physical proximity but by hearing topics. That's so inspiring. The Supreme Lord is himself telling. Even when we read the Chiraharan Lila or Vastraharan Lila, we read there also. Krishna said that. That one develops love for Krishna. So by hearing Bhagavatam, no matter whatever our current condition may be, we will gradually develop love for Krishna. By seeing the deity form, by meditating, chanting the beautiful glories, Kirtana, Nam Kirtan, Lila Kirtan, Guna Kirtan. So, this is the kind of a quick summary of the chapter. Now we'll dive deep into the chapter, the verses, and go to text number 1 onwards. Śrīmad Uvacha Bhagavan apita ratrihi saradotfula mallikai viksharantam manaschakre yogamayamupashritaha. Śrīmad Uvacha Bhagavan apita Sharadotfula Mallika Vikshyarantum Manaschakre Yogamayamupashritaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace is translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Prabhupada Ki Jai. So as you know, which we have discussed many times, that from chapter 14 onwards, the translation and the purports have been given by the disciples of Prabhupada under his shiksha and under his like how he wanted. Because Prabhupada in 1977, Prabhupada at the very, even at the final stage, he was doing the translations and the purports, and that was chapter 14 of Canto 10, where he wrapped up his pastimes. So from that chapter onwards, his disciples continued to give for the other chapters in Canto 10, Canto 11 and 12. Translation: Sri Badarayani said, Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in all opulences. Yet upon seeing those autumn nights scented with blossoming jasmine flowers, he turned his mind toward loving affairs. To fulfill his purposes, he employed his internal potency. As we begin, the famous narration of Lord Krishna's Rasa dance, a dance of love with beautiful young girls, questions will inevitably arise in the minds of ordinary people regarding the propriety of God's romantic dance with many young girls in the middle of a full moon autumn night. In his description of Lord's Rasa dance in Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada painstakingly explains the spiritual purity of these transcendental activities, referring to this Kṛṣṇa book. So Prabhupada, let's understand the mood of the Prabhupada disciples. Prabhupada disciples are referring to Prabhupada's Kṛṣṇa book because that he gave before he because he didn't know how much time I have left, and he wanted to give Canto 10 because it's the most important canto, and he was not sure, whether my body will allow. So he wanted to give Canto 10 before. So Kṛṣṇa book, which is basically like summary of Canto 10, or actually like all the 90 chapters are there in there, that Prabhupada wrote himself. So Prabhupada explained the spiritual purity of these activities. Those advanced in the science of Kṛṣṇa, the great teachers or acharyas, leave no doubt that Lord Kṛṣṇa is full and satisfied in himself, free of all material desire, which is, after all, a sense of incompleteness or lack. Materialistic persons or impersonal philosophers stubbornly reject the bona fide explanation of Sri Krishna's transcendental nature. There is no reason to deny the beautiful reality of an absolute person able to perform absolute romantic activities, of which our so-called romance is merely a shadow or perverted reflection. The internal insistence that material activities cannot be a reflection of the perfect spiritual activities performed by God reflects the unimaginative emotional disposition of those who oppose the reality of Sri Krishna. This psychological disposition of the non-devotees, which leads them to fervently deny the very existence of the absolute person, unfortunately boils down to what may be succinctly described as envy. Important point. It's only because of envy that people are not able to withstand. Oh, how can Kṛṣṇa have 16,000 wives? Oh, how can Kṛṣṇa do that? Because they envy. Since the overwhelming majority of the impersonal critics eagerly pursue their own romantic affairs, which they consider quite real and even spiritual. These days, many people think, oh, life is meant to enjoy, do whatever you want. Sambhog se samadhi. By sense gratification, you lead to the highest destination. It's nothing but pure nonsense. No Vedic scripture talks about this. They talk about that these are tuchha. So we cannot imitate the activities of the Lord. He is supreme. And these are purely spiritual activity, which you can't even understand. Forget about trying to. This is by the Yogamaya potency. We are under the Mahamaya potency. We have hard time controlling our lust, our anger, our greed. So one should not, many nonsense people, or they want to imitate these activities. But if anyone tries to imitate or would want to imitate, first ask them, can you lift Govardhan Hill? Then you can think of having multiple, relationship. But unfortunately, in India also it's growing, in US also it's there, in every country, relationships outside marriage, relationships prior to marriage, and it's becoming, and then people kind of say, oh, God also did that. That's basically very bad. जीवेर लालसा ये इति उति धाय शिष्णो दर परायण कृष्णा नहीं पाए. One who does not, we were reading in the kids class in the last time, one who Kṛṣṇa is easily controlled by those who control their senses. Kṛṣṇa is easily controlled. This is from the Kṛṣṇa book, chapter 72. Kṛṣṇa becomes under the control of those who control their senses, or in short, they are Goswamis. Śrī Rupa Goswami's nectar of instruction begins with this: Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, in udaropastha vegam. to control our eating, our eyes, our nose, our tongue, our genitals, our speech, our anger. Krishna is the property of those who have controlled these. Manasashtani indriyani. If we think I can do anything I want, I can eat anything I want, I can be with anyone I want, and I can also get Krishna. No. What to speak of getting Krishna? Arey Baba, if someone has to become successful, even in studies, let's say getting admission in a good college, don't they have to control their TV, control their activities, can have a good diet to win an Olympic medal? Don't they control their temptations to eat maybe outside food, cake, etc.? So much control is to get even some good job, some good college, some good Olympic medal. And we think by doing sense gratification we'll get Krishna. Doesn't sound. Krishna is the Lord of everything, the master of everything. It makes absolutely no sense that even to get something materially tangible, we have to do so much control. A student has to control their sleep, their eating, their so many things to get some achievement, a good job, good degree, a good grades. Same with everyone. So one has to learn to control, not sambhoga. That will never lead to, it will only lead to frustration. It will only lead to more anger, and basically illusion and sarvanash. The different types of hells have been described for those who try to imitate the activity of the Supreme Lord and have these illicit relationships on the name, oh, God also did that. So, okay, I'll pause there. Yes, Shiromati has her hand up. You can continue from here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Should I start from the actual? The actual supreme lover is Lord Krishna. The Vedanta Sutra begins by declaring, sorry. The Vedanta Sutra begins by declaring that the absolute truth is the source of everything, and even Western philosophy was born in a somewhat awkward attempt at finding the original one behind the apparent many of material existence. Conjugal love, one of the most intense and demanding aspects of human existence, can hardly have nothing at all to do with supreme reality. In fact, the conjugal love experienced by human beings is a mere reflection of spiritual reality, in which the same love exists in an absolute pristine state. Thus, it is clearly stated here that when Kṛṣṇa decided to enjoy the romantic atmosphere of autumn, he resorted to his spiritual potency, yogamayam upashrita. The spiritual nature of Lord Krishna's conjugal affairs is a major theme in this section of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. A woman is attractive because of the sweet sound of her voice, her beauty and gentleness, her enchanting fragrance and tenderness, and also because of her cleverness and skill in music and dance. The most attractive ladies of all are the young Gopis of Vrindavan, who are Lord Krishna's internal potency. And this chapter tells how he enjoyed their brilliant feminine qualities, even though, as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura has mentioned, Lord Krishna was an 8-year-old boy when these events took place. Ordinary people prefer God simply to be a witness of their romantic affairs. When a boy desires a girl or a girl desires a boy, sometimes they pray to God for their enjoyment. Such people are shocked and dismayed to find out that the Lord can enjoy his own loving affairs with his own transcendental senses. In truth, Śrī Kṛṣṇa is the original Cupid, and his exciting conjugal pastimes will be described in this section of the Bhagavatam. When Lord Kṛṣṇa descends to the earth, his spiritual body seems to take birth and grow as he displays his variegated pastimes. The Lord could hardly allow his boyhood to pass without exhibiting the supreme loving affairs between a young boy and young girls. Thus, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes Srila Rupa Goswami as follows: Kaishuram Sakali Karoti Kalayan Kunje Viharam Hari. Lord Hari perfects his use by arranging loving pastimes in the groves of the Vrindavan forest. Back to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for reading this remainder of the purport. A very, very critical point that this is not under the potency of Mahamaya, but this is Krishna's Yogamaya or internal energy. Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakritam. The Supreme Lord's pure devotees are under always the spell of Krishna's spiritual energy. Very, very important. And the Lord, think of the great souls. It is said that if someone meditates on the eyebrows of the Lord, their lust will vanquish. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityaṁ bhāgavata-sevayā. If someone hears the glories of the Lord, all their kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mad, matsarya will go away. Now think of if someone takes shelter of a millionaire or billionaire, a beggar comes to their house, then the beggar's poverty will be gone, right? Let's say the billionaire gives him $100,000, which is like peanuts for him. Then the beggar will no more be poor. Now, can that billionaire be going next door and begging? Impossible. That person who can eliminate the poverty for hundreds and thousands, how can that millionaire be under the spell of poverty? So that personality who is the Lord, the Master, the Proprietor, the Controller, the Sarva Karana Karanam, that energy of the Lord, where Krishna says, Devi Esha Gunamai Mammaya Duratya Mami Prapadyanti Maya Metam Tarantiti. If someone takes shelter of me, then I will help him to overcome this very difficult to control this Duratya, this Maya. Now, how can that Krishna be under the grip of Maya? Impossible. So this is all arranged by the Supreme Lord, because ultimately we are all his energies, and he's the supreme energetic. And a true servant is happy to give pleasure to the master, a true servant. So that's our role. Like Prabhupada gives the example, like in a machine, there is a screw, right? A tiny piece of screw in the machine or a nut bolt, right? How much it costs? 50 cents, $1 maybe. Not very expensive, a nut bolt. But in that machine, it serves a very sacred purpose. Without that nut bolt, it's incomplete, right? Similarly, when we are connected to Krishna, we have a purpose. When you're outside, sometimes you may find nut bolts near the dumpster or somewhere like just in trash. Outside, they are waste. So, back to this verse, Shri Badarayani, who is none other than Shukdev Goswami, the son of Shri Badarayana Vedvyas, the son of Vyasadeva. Shri Shukdev Goswami is speaking to
Parikshit Maharaj.
Parikshit Maharaj primarily, and then there are a lot of other people also. Great sadhus are there, impersonalists are also there, many. And where are they having this discussion? Where are they having this discussion? Which city? New York, Tampa, Florida, Jackson? Anyone knows? Where is this discussion happening?
Prabhuji, Sukadev Goswami is talking in Naimisharanya, and no, sorry. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yes.
ये वर्त रक्षा है जहाँ पर सुखदेव गोस्वामी जी ने भागवतम कथा
Recently, one devotee went here. This is the tree at Shukatal, or the descendants of that tree, where this Shukdev Goswami gave Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So at Shukatal, which is very close to Haridwar. When I went last time to India, I also got the good fortune to go there. So if you're going from Delhi to Haridwar on road, it kind of falls on the way. So maybe next time when you go, please plan. Okay, so Badarayani is none other than Shukdev Goswami. He's speaking to Parikshit Maharaj and others and kind of setting the scene, explaining about the jasmine flowers, explaining about the internal potency of the Lord here, and giving a detailed purport. Any comments before we move on to the next question? Sorry, verse.
Prabhuji, even the timeline they have mentioned Sharad Ritu, Shardi, autumn night.
Very nice, yes. They have mentioned the Sharada autumn. Thank you. And Yogamaya. So it's all happening in the arrangement of Yogamaya potency, or Krishna's internal. So let's go to the next verse. Who would like to read? Anyone? Would like to try? Yes, Sheetal Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. Tado durajah kaku bhakarer. Okay, इसका अलग है. Tado duraja kaku bhakarer mukham प्रत्याविलम्पन् अरुणेन शान्तमे सा चर्षणीनाम् उद्गाच चुचोमृजन् प्रियाये इव दीर्घा दर्शनः. Translation and purport by the devotees of Srila Prabhupada, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. The moon then rose, anointing the face of the eastern horizon with the reddish hue of his comforting rays, and thus dispelling the pain of all who watched him rise. The moon was like a beloved husband who returns after a long absence and adorns the face of his beloved wife with red kumkuma. Purport. Young Kṛṣna engaged his internal potency, and she immediately created an exciting atmosphere for conjugal love. So here, I think the further is the scene is kind of set as previously described. The timeline was the autumn nights, and the moon has risen now, and just for conjugal pastimes, the atmosphere is becoming serene, and the scene is being set. Back to you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for reading. So, Bhagavatam is very, very poetic and just helps us to kind of understand the mood, like so many details are mentioned. And that's Shukdev Goswami is an expert narrator. And the beauty of expert narrator is not that, they just say, okay, Krishna and Kalia's story, okay, Krishna, was playing and somehow the friends went to drink water and they got fainted. Krishna went in and took care of Kalia and then Kalia went away. Story ends, right? But an expert narrator narrates that with so many like details. Attention to detail is a symptom of love. So an expert narrator, an expert poet is mentioning with so much detail and gives so many analogies, so many like metaphors and poetic devices are used here. Like example of kumkum, like basically brightens up, right? Kumkum, the red powder, brightens up the face of a woman. And similarly, the moon is brightening up the dark night. That's the idea here. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur mentions in Sharartha Darshini that the moon god is the very founder of the dynasty. Which dynasty we're referring to? Krishna dynasty, or in which Krishna appeared, Chandra Vamsha. Krishna appeared in the Chandra Vamsha, and Lord Ram appeared in the Surya Vamsha. And the most ancient leader of the Brahmana community. This verse hints that if this is the case with the moon god, the leader of Krishna's dynasty, then certainly there is no fault in Krishna, a descendant of his dynasty enjoying the gopis. After all, Krishna is fresh youth, intoxicated by the beauty of his human form. He's an unmarried member of the cowherd community. Krishna is uniquely so enchanting that he excites the entire universe. And how old is Krishna as per the human calculations here in this Lila?
8 years.
8 years. So Govardhan Lila just wrapped up in chapter 27. He was about 7 years old at that time. So in this Rasa Lila episode, he's about 8 years. And we can imagine, even from our understanding, what does a 6, 7, 8-year-old person or boy, girl, they are not under these spells. That's what I say. Children are innocent, right? Children are innocent. They don't distinguish between you and me and, my and his. They're innocent. Therefore, we say one should be childlike simplicity, childlike innocence. Even if they fight, the next one they're playing with that person again. But if two adults fight, they fight for like lifetimes. Don't show me your face ever, right? You said one time this to me and that to me, and one should develop childlike innocence, childlike humility, childlike forgiveness. So, in no calculation, in no way we should see this as a mundane activity. That's the whole idea. We'll read one more verse before we pause. Anyone else would like to read text number 3? Today's whole theme is how do we approach this pastime? If you notice, how do we approach the pastime? Anyone wants to read? I see Deepika Mataji also has joined. Thank you for joining. Anyone from Ramai Pran Prabhu's family wants to read? Ravi Prabhu? Shrama Mataji? Anyone?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read. Thank you.
Yes.
Hare Krishna devotees. दृष्ट्वा कुमदवन्तम् अखण्डं मण्डलं रमानानाभं नव कुङ्कुमारवनं वनां च तत् कोर्माला गोभिरञ्जितं जगाउ कलां वाम दरसां मनोहरम्. Translation. The word Jagao in this verse indicates that Lord Krishna played songs on his flute, as confirmed in the text 40 by the words Kastri Anga Te Kala Padayata Venu Gita.
Prabhuji, I'm sorry, you missed the translation.
Okay, I think I did. Yes, Prabhu, sorry. Translation. Lord Krishna saw the unbroken disk of the full moon glowing with the red effulgence of newly applied vermilion, as if it were the face of the goddess of fortune. He also saw the Kumuda lotuses opening in response to the moon's presence and the forest gently illumined by its rays. Thus the Lord began to play sweetly on his flute, attracting the minds of the beautiful-eyed Gopis. Purport by disciples of Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. The word Jagao in this verse indicates that Lord Krishna played songs on his flute as confirmed in the text 40 by the words Kastri Angakte Kala Padayata Venu Gita. The word Rama may indicate not only Lord Vishnu's consort but also Srimati Radharani, the original goddess of fortune. Lord Krishna appeared in the dynasty of the moon god, and the moon plays a prominent role here in preparing for the Lord's entrance into the midst of the rasa dance. Hare Krishna.
Want to share anything, Prabhuji? Thank you for reading.
The only thing I can relate or connect here is that since Lord Krishna was the Chandravanshi, so the moon is playing a significant role in preparing for his rasa dance, and that's all, Prabhuji, I think.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So there are different types of lotuses. Here we see as the moon is up, the full moon night, as we know, Sharad Purnima. It's very, very beautiful. It's the night to look at the moon. And it's naturally like a setting an ideal atmosphere. The weather is good, the breeze is good, The lotuses are blooming up. These are special lotuses which blossom in the night time, right? Like there are some flowers which blossom seeing the sun, but there are some lotuses, as you see here. What are those types of lotuses? Kumuda, lotuses opening in response to the moon's presence. Right? The Lord began to play his flute. Lord's flute is so nectarian that Krishna and anyone who hears Krishna's flute, they are simply mesmerized. So we can also try to become like Krishna's flute. It has 6 holes, right? Which means it's free from the 6 vices. Not a lot to learn from Krishna's flute. And it's very, very dear to Krishna. Anytime you see Krishna, even when he goes to bed, he always keeps the flute with him. You can also pray that Krishna always keep us along with you. Never forget us. And when we don't forget Krishna, Krishna will not forget us. If we are in our own world, Krishna is in his own world. So flute is very dear to Krishna. Krishna never forgets, his flute. One time Gopis tried to steal Krishna's flute. It's a long story. One time they said, Krishna, why? Gopi said, Krishna said to Gopis, why are you attracted to me? She said, hey, it's your problem. Why are you playing flute like this? Right? They're like joking in the highest rasa. The flute also has no ego. What's inside the flute? Anyone? What's inside the flute?
Air.
Air. Good. And what's outside? Air. Right? Under air, right? So teaching us that one should become in and out the same. Isn't that beautiful? That's why it's so dear to Krishna. Those who are in and out does mean they are simple. That means they're non-duplicitous. What's in their heart, they speak. And they speak what's in their heart. They're not pretentious, right? They're not hungry for name, fame, followers to flatter people so that I can get more followers. They are non-duplicitous. Saralta hi Vaishnavta. There's so many lessons we can learn from the flute, right? To be free from ego, to be non-duplicitous, to be dear to Krishna. Gopis had transcendental envy with the flute because it was always so dear and always with Krishna. And the Gopas were there in the daytime, the Gopis were there in the night time, but the flute was day and night, 24/7. And very, very close that Krishna would touch his lips. Right? When you play the flute or when you blow air in the flute, basically one has to use the lips. I see that Sunil Prabhu has joined and he has a beautiful picture. Even Shro Mataji's DP or this the Zoom picture, even Mohini Madhavi Mataji's Zoom picture. And you see everywhere Krishna is holding the flute. Isn't that interesting and amazing? We're talking about flute. Any picture of Krishna you find, you'll see flute. Any picture, whether he's with Sakhas, whether he's with brother Dauji, Balram, whether he's with cows, whether he's with gopis, whether he's in his bed, sleeping, his flute will be there. So Kṛṣna played his flute to attract the mind. So we also pray here, "Oh Kṛṣna, please let your divine flute attract our mind also." Let your Murli Vadana, your Murli Dhari, your Vamsi Dhari, Vamsi Vadana, so many names. Krishna has different types of flute, Murli, Venu, Vamsi, based on the sizes, based on the holes. Why is my heart not attracted to the Murli of Krishna? Because there is a lot of commotion going on. I shared this story, but since you're talking about it, one time a devotee went to Vrindavan, and Vrindavan, as you know, a lot of people come, a lot of tourists come, a lot of devotees come. And he was in a place, like a apartment, resting at one of his friends' place. And in the night, he told his friend, when the next day he got up, "Oh, I heard that there's a temple which is quite far, but I was able to hear that they're doing the whole night Sankirtan." Hmm? And the temple was quite far, maybe a kilometer or so, a mile or half a mile away. And then his friend, the other devotee who was like native or local, he explained, actually they are doing 24/7 Kirtan. And then this devotee reflected, why I was able to hear only in the night time. Can anyone guess? Not a hard question. Why was he able to hear in the night time only? Although the Kirtan was going on 24/7. Is the question making sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Is it because there was noise in the daytime,
Yeah,
distractions?
exactly. Some traffic, pee, some rickshaw wala, some, bhaji wala, aloo le lo, pyaj le lo, tomato le lo, right? Some train and some, someone shouting at each other, someone going, "Oh, I'm getting late for my office," someone, "I'm getting late for my school." So much commotion. One is not. So therefore, we can also think Krishna's flute he's always playing his flute. But why I'm not getting attracted to Krishna's? Because of the commotion, because of the turmoil in my heart, in my consciousness. So let's pray to Krishna that you are Murali Vadana, you are Venu Dhari. Please let my heart, like how you attracted the minds of the young, beautiful gopis, although I have to speak of them, like even the speck of their dust, I cannot compare myself. The speck of dust on their feet, but still I have a desire. Krishna, I have a desire to love you. Krishna, my heart longs for you. Although I'm running after material things, but still there's a deep desire. Although I have so many shortcomings, but you know that I know that I need you. Oh, I look for you. You know that I have a desire to be with you, but somehow I'm caught up in this turmoil. Please let my mind be purely attracted to you and you only. And that's the perfection of life. Any thoughts, comments before we wrap up for today? Questions, corrections? We discussed the first 3 verses. So in the next session, which is on Friday, we'll resume from text number 4 of this chapter. Any questions, comments, corrections? Okay, then we will pause here and continue on Friday. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Purana ki jai, Jagat Guru Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Sama Veda Gaura Bhakta ki jai.
Jai.
Kalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya eva cha patitānaṁ pāvanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.